Hi, John, and everyone in Kentucky. John, I hope you're improving and things are looking up. Everyone here sends their love and a big hug. And there's Anne behind me. She's going to disappear in a second or two, and she's going to promise not to make too much noise while I do this first part of a two-parter today, John. So, anyway, got to get on with it, and here's another story I think you'll find interesting and perhaps even amusing. It's a longer one, so I have to send it in two parts, as I said, and let's get on with it. So Anne's just disappearing now. She didn't say much, but I didn't give her a chance to. Anyhow, here's the story. The story is called The Big Boat Race, Part 1. And please be advised that the names of individuals and their hometowns have been changed to protect the innocent, the drunk, and the stupid. I don't know if you know, well, you probably do. There are lots of definitions for boat races, and boat races are not always the kind of boats that Annalee and Marlon know about, but some boat races are drinking games, and that's what they're called. And the rules are pretty simple usually. 4 players on a team, and you drink 4 beers or 4 drinks, but in this case it's beers, and it's the fastest total elapsed time drinking the beers sequentially. So each person drinks a beer, and as soon as that person's finished, the next person starts, and it's the total elapsed time from beginning to end. The time for this story is the early 1970s. The place is the University of Manitoba in Canada, and the event is the annual social and dance of the Faculty of Agriculture, known as the Aggies, and the Faculty of Home Economics, known as the Home Ec. And they changed the names a bunch of times over the years in order to figure out what a good politically correct name would be. But in any case, these two, the main attraction of this dance and social was the boat race challenge made by Home Economics Agriculture, and that was they were going to challenge the kings of boat race drinking games. The sponsor is actually a sponsor in this case is Club Beer, and the Club Beer representative, his name was Stephen Smiley, and he was on hand to do public relations and distribute T-shirts and mugs, etc. There were a lot of people there that night at that dance. Lots of agriculture students, mostly guys in those days, or girls who could drink like guys. Lots of home economics students there as well, all girls, and no guys. No guys ever went into home economics in those days. And they all drank like girls, spiked lemonade with umbrellas, drinks, those kinds of things. The girls who drank like guys just didn't enroll in home economics. There was a really big build-up to the boat race because it was a serious matter of pride for the Aggies. In fact, a few years later, a guy from Altamont became rather famous for his boat race talents, and that's the ability to be able to open up your throat and let the beer just drain down your gullet like it was draining down a large, huge sewer hole. Boat races were a really big deal, as I said, for Aggies. They challenged other faculties, other universities, engineering, arts and sciences, and the arts and science students figured they could drink, but the Aggies were really champions at the drinking games at the boat races. Home economics knew they didn't really stand a chance in the boat race, so they needed to gain an advantage somehow. Those home ec girls, many of them knew they would end up married to Aggies, knew they had to develop strategies to distract the Aggies and to let the Aggies know who was boss in the long run. A few weeks in advance, the home ec girls began taunting the Aggies by saying they were going to whip their ever-broadening farmer-sized asses, that the Aggies had better practice a little before the actual boat race took place. And the Aggies did practice. They always practice, usually every day in the days before a big boat race, but not usually on the day of a boat race. But practice they did this time in the hours just before this boat race. The Aggies figured they could beat home ec no matter how drunk they were. Smiley, the beer representative, was lapping up this newfound tactic of the of the home ec squad. It provided excitement, and beer sales began to climb at the bars on campus as club beer fought for every quarter of a % difference in the university beer market. He loved the home ec tactic to rile up the Aggies. The boat race itself was scheduled to take place at 11:30, just before midnight, during the of that social and dance. But as the evening wore on, during the early hours of the evening, the bantering between the two teams was mostly friendly. But as the evening wore on, word began to leak out that the home ec girls had a serious plan to take the Aggies down. Some Aggies thought the home ec girls would refuse to date them unless the Aggies intentionally threw the boat race to allow the home ec to win. But most knew that this was not a credible threat. Aggies ranked beer third on their list of priorities, just behind a good bull and a good heifer. Girls were a distant fourth on their list of priorities. Aggies were almost always full of bull and chasing heifers. Well, then they were young bulls. When they were young bulls, that is. We needn't go into any detail about castration at this juncture. Still, the word was that the home ec girls were up to no good. The rumors ranged from crazy to stupid. Some Aggies even began to speculate that they were going to substitute beer bread or maybe beer stews for the real club beer, the official beer of the boat race. Smiley wasn't amused at that rumor. The evening progressed, and about 11:30 p.m. the two teams retreated to their respective private quarters for final preparations. The official beer table grounds crew began setting up the tables, readying it for the battle to come. Stopwatches were calibrated, no handy smartphones in those days. The beer was measured as well to ensure equal amounts in each glass. The sound system was checked. Smiley, the club beer representative, was testing it. Testes, 1, 2, testes, 1, 2, testes, 1, 2. Yep, got them both. As far as first-rate entertainment goes, this event promised to be, second-rate at best. Introductions of the teams were scheduled to begin around 10:30 or 11:30 p.m. The teams would be introduced to the crowd in the same way that professional sports athletes are introduced to the crowds. And the Aggies' captain was Sudsy Sutherland. No one knew what his real first name was. He takes the microphone and bellows, Aggies, we're here for the beer!" The Aggies in the crowd roar their approval. Now let's meet the Aggie Tanks, short for tankards. In the leadoff position from Sperling High School in his rookie year with the team, we have little Jack Frost. Frost stepped forward, raised his hand, and wiped some froth from his mouth before downing a half glass of club beer. The crowd roared and chanted some more. Drinking second from Treesbank, Manitoba, and Wawanesa High School in his sophomore year, it's Sam Snake Simpkins. Sam bowed deeply and then raised his glass and drained it without so much as taking a breath. In the third spot, in the fifth year of this 4-year program, from Winkler, Manitoba, it's veteran Menno Goose Giesbrecht. Goose does an exaggerated goose step that looks more like a duck walk and swills his beer down his throat. He didn't spill a drop, actually. He didn't spill a drop as he swilled the beer down his throat. In the cleanup spot from Polson Avenue Public School in Winnipeg, the undisputed champion of boat racing, it's Phil Moore Beer Palmatier. Phil staggers drunkenly to the table where Goose Giesbrecht assists him to sit upright and tries to keep him from drinking the beer set out for the competition. The crowd was overflowing into the hallways. Uproarious cheering raucously greeted each player on the Aggies team. Aggie chants began to arise from various corners of the fabled Taché Hall. Aggies, we drink, and we're drunk, followed by a lone voice trailing off. As a skunk. The Aggies boat race team were ready to do battle. Bring on those home ec chicks, someone shouted. Well, John, that's the end of part 1. Gotta take a rest now. Actually, I have to go away and figure out how to end this yarn. Have a great day, and I'll get part 2 to you before too many days. Take care. Bye-bye.